It's not about how many times we fight, it's about how we fight.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I learned very fast, we're very different, right? I think Robin acknowledged, I'm shot glass, she's wine glass, yoga, CrossFit, motorcycles, electric, I don't know.
Electric cars?
Electric cars, I don't know. But we're very different, LA, New York. And so when it comes to fighting, it was difficult because we would really kind of be very reactive. And
Aries, Taurus.
Aries, yeah. So it was tough, man. Just, we had to learn how to fight.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I want to talk about is there has to be rules. We don't learn in school what rules are. We speak from the reactivity or our activation. I grew up in relationships steamrolling, talking louder, and being very logical, right? Coming in like a lawyer, never creating a safe space. And one of the things that has helped me tremendously is the mantra, try to understand before trying to be understood. And that one thing, I call it a fast elbows, just real quick. So in Olympic lifting, there's something called fast elbows where the coach only gives you one instruction, because if the coach gives you too much, you don't do anything. But if you just do this one thing, other things line up. And so with fighting, it's like, okay, step number one, try to understand before trying to be understood. So if I follow that, I'm already aligning myself to listen, to truly be empathetic, to understand, and not thinking about what my defense is going to be, how I'm going to prove it wrong, explain my case. I'm just trying to understand before me trying to be understood. I used to do the opposite. I used to try to get the person to understand me first, and then I'll understand you. So you understand me first, and then we'll talk about what you're going through, right? Which doesn't work.
Really?
Yeah.
And to kind of build on that, I think what's really important too is understanding not only your own conflict style, if you will, but also this understand before being understood helps you see their style as well, right? Because we know that curiosity and judgment can't coexist, right? So if I'm in a state of judgment, I am not open and curious to what is going on for this other person, right? But if I'm really trying to understand, even if I'm heated, listen, this is not easy. There are times where I'm like, no, you were wrong. You were the asshole, right? And I don't want to understand. But when you really do that mantra, and it is a mantra for me sometimes, it really helps us pull from a place of curiosity. We're not perfect, as best as we can, right? Let's be real. But also, what's been really helpful for me is to notice, and this is building on this mantra, what happens to me in my body when somebody is trying to get me to understand what's going on for them, right? So it's different for everybody, but for me, I dissociate. I get heated, I leave my body. Like, I'm done, right? I get hot, I get tense, I lose my words, forget it. There's no cognitive functioning going on at all. And I do one of these, right? And I kind of do this, and it's like, no one's home. And here's what's been really helpful for me in having a mantra like this. It helps me stay in my body. So I will repeat this mantra in my head, and I have other tools that I use to try to actually stay in my physical body, like I pinch the underside of my legs, or I'll like dig my nails into the chair, anything I can do to physically stay present. But I give that as kind of an insight into the importance of, for each one of us, to understand what happens in your body when you're in confrontation, when you get activated, right? Because everyone's toolkit is going to be different based on what happens in your body. And here's the thing, he knows this. I've shared it with him, right? We've had conversations about what it looks like and feels like for each of us when we're in conflict. So he knows I tend to dissociate, which is great, because when he sees me start to do this, right?
Yeah, the old John would be like, oh, you don't care about me.
You're not paying attention.
What are you doing? But now that I know that about her, it's a sign or it's a flag
I'm
saying,
flooded.
yeah, like back off, shut up. It makes me shift gears to, instead of what we're talking about, reading her body language. And then it's going to be hard, but because, if we're in a heated fight, it's going to be hard to stop. It's going to be hard to not try to, win, and, your ego is inflated. To drop everything, and now what matters is trying to create a safe space so she feels safe.
Yeah.
And,
or at least acknowledge,
yeah.
right? Even if you don't have in that moment, because you're activated too, the capacity to care for me because you're pissed, it at least gives you the opportunity to be like, you know what? Ideally, I can say that for myself. Ideally, I actually can say, I'm getting flooded, I need to take a break, right? That's the goal. I'm still working on that goal, right? I will sit up here and say, I've been in therapy for 20 years, I'm a therapist myself, I'm still working on noticing when I'm getting flooded and saying the words, I need a minute, I'm overwhelmed, right? But it's really helpful when he's on the same team and can go, hey, how about if we take a time out, right? And now the reverse of that, I would say for you, is when you get kind of your version of flooding is he talks at.
Yeah, instead of with.
Yes, and it's just talking, right? And I can tell. Again, it's like the lights aren't on, that kind of thing. Somebody who doesn't know him, you would actually think he's very engaged, but it's just talking, right? And so I can notice that, and
That's
I can
what I'm doing here tonight. Just talking.
Yeah, he's
Zero
actually
engagement.
not here.
I'm thinking about other things. Yeah.
But flipping the role, right, is
Yeah.
that my ability to say, hey, why don't we pause? Let's go, take a break, take a walk, whatever that looks like.
There was one time where I actually executed this, and she was getting, she was disassociating, and I just kind of shut up and went and hugged you.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry about that.
It only happened once.
It did only
But I
happen.
remember the impact, and it was very hard for me to do, but I did it, and I didn't ask for permission, though. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I did it, and then...
It's true, you did not.
Yeah. But, oh my God, the appreciation of me breaking that pattern, I think. What did it do for you?
I mean, in that moment, right, it brings you into your body, first of all, number one. But also it's we're in this together. There's a joining in that. It's not me against you. It's us against whatever the thing is, right? And no matter what, and talk about codependency, most of us have an abandonment wound. It shows up as either an abandonment wound, a rejection wound, whatever, right? And so we act out of these ways in an attempt to not be abandoned, to not be rejected. This is where the codependent tendencies come from. It's this fear of abandonment, right? And I'm not going to steal Gabor Mate's, he's going to talk about this tomorrow. But so that's so much of my wounding, as it is for a lot of us. And so in that moment, what that did was, oh, he's still here, right? You guys are fighting. You actively don't like each other in this moment, let's be real. And he came over, and my nervous system was automatically online, right? Yeah.
One of the things that I also have been focusing on, or trying to, is someone's nervous system.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what that was before, But if you think about, what are they experiencing, and reading their body language instead of the words coming out of their mouth, and seeing if they're dysregulated, is there a disconnect happening? Is there panic? Is there fight or flight? Like, how's it the energy? And if you focus on that, it almost kind of cuts through all the bull. There's a moment where you might be like, what were you fighting about? And that moment only comes after you've connected and made people feel safe and you're hugging someone. And you're like, oh, this is ridiculous. And I think that's when you go from logic to heart.
Body and heart.
Body, yeah.
And I've used this, like, with my mom. We have a complicated relationship, as a lot of us do with our parents. And there have been times where I have felt a little bit like a Jedi, when I have been able to say in my head, try to understand before being understood. I've seen it work. It's not just in romantic relationships.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful when two people do it.
Yeah.
It flips the magnet back. It makes the soil rich, shields go down, people are human again, and now we're having, like, honest conversations.
Yeah.